Burns suppers are held all over the world to commemorate the life and works of Robert Burns, the Scottish bard. Burns was born on 25th January 1759 in a small cottage in Alloway in Ayrshire, so the supper is generally held on or around 25th January. They can be informal gatherings or as large an affair as organisers want. The first commemoration of Burns was held on 21st July 1801, the 5th anniversary of his death. A group of his friends and patrons gathered at the cottage of his birth and toasted him with ale or wine, ate haggis, and drank well into the evening, lamenting his loss. It had been organised by the Reverend Hamilton Paul, although the idea was put forward by John Ballantyne, the former Provost of Ayr. Only one woman was present, Primrose Kennedy, also known as Captain Kennedy, a well-known military hero. Until the 20th century, the suppers were an all-male affair, with the exception of the cook. Today, the Toast to the Lassies takes place, to thank the cook or cooks for preparing the meal, but also as a homage to all the women in Burns' life. Between 1801 and 1809, two celebrations were held. However, it was then decided that 25th January be the main event of the year. 1801 also saw the inauguration of the first Burns Club, which was founded in Greenock by Ayrshire-born merchants, a number of whom knew Burns personally, or had at least met him. It was unfortunate that they held their first Burns supper, organised by the Ayrshire Guild of Shoemakers, on 29th January 1802, as they firmly believed that that was his birthday, but the records were checked in Ayrshire and the mistake rectified. From these first Burns clubs, hundreds were set up all across Scotland by the 1830s, filtering through to the rest of the world, who celebrate his work today. This was thanks to the Burns Air Festival of 1844 that it gained worldwide recognition. The Burns Club of Dunedin in New Zealand was established in 1861, with the London Burns Club founded in 1868. Edinburgh established its club in 1848. The Burns Federation was formed in 1885, bringing all the clubs together under one umbrella. Burns suppers generally follow a rule of order. A piper at the larger gatherings pipes while the guests enter, with the host welcoming them. Then he says a few words about why the supper is being held. Once seated, the Selkirk Grace is recited. This is rather like a prayer being said before a meal. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some wad eat that want it, but we hae meat and we can eat, and say the Lord be thankit. It is not, as many assume, a Burns work, but an older saying dating from at least the 17th century, and once known as the Covenanter's Grace. It's said the name changed after Burns recited it to the Earl of Selkirk at a dinner that he was invited to, and the name has stuck. Once the grace is finished, the first course is brought in. This is soup, usually cockaliki, Scotch broth or potato. Sometimes cullen skink is served. It is then the turn of the haggis, a pudding made from sheep's offal, oatmeal and spices, and in days gone by, a sheep's head was also presented for eating, but this hasn't happened for many years. This is the main event, as far as the food is concerned. While everyone stands, the piper leads the way to the host, although this is a 20th century addition to the supper. It's served on a large silver platter, still wrapped in its skin, ready for the knife to cut through. Now placed on the table before him, the host and guests sing, "A man's a man for all that." The host then picks up the knife, cutting into the haggis, reciting the address to the haggis, which Burns wrote in 1786. It begins, "Fair fa your honest sonsie face, great chieftain o' the Puddin' race, aboon them a' ye tak your place, Painch, tripe, or thairm, weel are ye worthy o' a grace, as lang as mairm." At the line further in the address, "His knife see rustic labour dicht," the knife is sharpened by the host, and is only then plunged into the haggis when he reaches, "and cut you up wi' ready slicht," when he slits the haggis from end to end. A toast to the haggis is said. Whisky drunk, then everyone sits down for the meal. This consists of the haggis, accompanied with mashed tatties and mashed neep. Dessert is usually traditionally Scottish, such as cranachan, cream, oats and raspberries, or a whisky trifle. Once the meal is over and the teas and coffees are being served, further speeches take place, beginning with Immortal Memory, where the host will speak of an episode in Burns' life or works, followed by a toast to Burns' memory. It is then the address or toast to the lassies, a fairly new addition to a Burns supper, where a guest gives a usually humorous but short speech, which is replied to with the reply to the laddies by a female guest. Originally, the toast to the lassies was a short affair, thanking them for cooking and serving the meal only. Songs and poems of Burns then fill the air in the room. The close of the Burns supper is really a vote of thanks. Then everyone is invited to stand, take their neighbours' hands, and sing Auld Lang Syne. This brings the ceremony to an end. Today, women attend Burns suppers. However, this has only happened in the past 50 years or so, even though an all-women's Burns Club had been set up in Shotts in 1920, followed by another in 1928. This was the Annan Ladies Burns Club, which still runs today. It was as recent as 2019 that the Arbroath Burns Club finally allowed women to join, and although in minority, others such as Paisley still hold out. Although this is the running of a traditional Burns supper, people can still do their own thing to commemorate him. A few glasses of whisky round a fire, reciting his work and toasting him, works just as well. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.